Today we're going to be working on the CBR1000 project. We're going to pull the carbs. We'll probably clean them. We'll hopefully clean them. We'll put it back together. See if we can get her to fire up. I don't know if I'll get it all done today, but let's attempt it. Alright, so we've disconnected the front of the air box from the carbs. We're just trying to figure out how to get this box out of our way. And there's a tube here that feeds air. I think we might have to pull that, and I think we're gonna have to pull the box for the battery. Yeah, I don't know, I'm just trying to figure it out. So that's kind of where we are. Okay. So we got to pull out the back fairing. This guy wired in some aftermarket blinkers with I don't know, duct tape. I don't know why anybody would use duct tape on wiring, but anyway, he just pinch these together with duct tape. We will not be putting it back like that. All right, you can take that off. All right, so basically we had a bolt that was holding on the overflow that was spinning in here. We couldn't get it out, so I basically pulled the box back, pulled the carbs out, and then we'll just fight them in the next way when we put them back in. All I could do was do that, so sometimes you have to improvise, and this was one of those times. Alright, so we pulled the carbs. They are dirty. We put the bike back in the garage for now. Go get some carb cleaner, pull those carbs apart. Hopefully we won't need a sonic cleaner to do it, so I'm not going to break them apart. I'm going to leave it as a full rack and just disassemble one at a time. Not the greatest way of doing it, but it's the way I'm going to do it. So, anyway. Ooh. Look at that.
Told you.
Probably clean this gasket.
I clean it? What you said? I mean, look at the balls. Those should be like white. Or the floats.
Yeah, look how bad that is. Alright, let's take this outside. We'll clean it outside. You can see all in here. All that dirt. So, gotta get that out. I'm finished putting the carb on today. Ran into a little issue with the carb. And, oops. Basically, I have to wait for the light to turn on. Basically, one of the diaphragms was ripped. So I had to figure out what to do with that. So basically I did two things. First off, it was a small rip. It probably came from a backfire or something. So here's the diaphragm. I think most of you guys know what a diaphragm is. Anyway, it was ripped a little bit on the bottom here, and what I did is I got Honda Bond HT, and I actually glued it, and it probably would have worked. Now I'm pulling on it. It's you know, it's not ripped at all, and I did on both sides just to have it so it would be functional. But I was lucky enough to get a new diaphragm, not new, used diaphragm in perfect shape off of eBay. And when it came off of a 1994 CBR1000, but mine has different needles and springs in it, so I couldn't figure out for the life of me how to get the needle out. Well, it isn't that hard. This piece here kind of just slides down here and locks in. So obviously you'd put the needle in, but that would slide down, and then you just take well, I took a different needle nose, but anyway, you take a needle nose and so it would be down this way down, and then I just took a needle nose and just yanked it up, and I was able to get the needle out, and then I changed the needle, so now I have the one that's supposed to be in there. So carbs are all cleaned. I pulled everything apart, so hopefully she'll start. So we're gonna go up there and put it in now. Greg got one of these little gas kinks from a weed whacker. We're just gonna put a tube through the bottom and put some gas in that, so I don't have to put the tank back on it, because I'm not done with the tank. Basically the tank is pretty close to being done. So that Honda Bond that I was talking about, HD, it's basically a rubberized silicone, sort of like a liquid gasket, but it doesn't harden. So and it's supposed to resist from gas and all that stuff. Doesn't be affected by oil, water, or any of that stuff. Now, I don't know how well it would have held up. I saw guys on the internet doing it. I've seen diaphragms done like that, but it's always better to get a different diaphragm when it's got a hole in it than it is to do this. But anyway, that's what it is. It ran $14.95 at the Honda dealer. And when I say Honda dealer, I'm talking about Honda cars. I don't know if Honda motorcycle dealer sells it or not, but the car dealer does. Anyway, if you ever get in a bind and you can't get a diaphragm, that's something that's probably, something that can get you back on the road for a while until you can find a diaphragm. Alright, so I have the bike out here. Since last filming, I changed the foot pegs. They were nothing crazy. It was a little cotter pin. Little cotter pin, cotter pin, C-O-T-T-E-R. I know what the word is. I don't know how to say it that great. Anyway, there was a little cotter pin, and here just pulled it out, popped these through, and then you put the spring and drop it back through. It was less than 5 minutes aside. So I did that. They seem a little bit straighter. It's something, looking from side to side, they're pretty close to where they need to be. I think they're pretty dead on now. Looking from the top, I think they're pretty level. Anyway, before I put the carb on, I'm gonna open up the battery, set the battery up, let it start charging while we go and put this. Alright, so I had a Parts Unlimited battery. I got this from DHY in Deptford, New Jersey. I think it ran $43, something like that. $39. $49. So we'll take it out, we'll put the acid in it, and then I'll put it on the battery tender, so that when we go to pop this thing, it should be pretty much ready to go. Alright, so basically this one's a little different than the kind of factory ones. Factory ones, you usually get this bottle and you pop them in and they self-put in. This one you have to load your own, so you have to pull these little caps. And supposedly there was a vent tube, mine didn't have it, that you have to disconnect. Then what you do is you open this, you cut the top, and then you put this on, and then you kind of spray it in with that. So that's where we are. Problem is, you really can't see in there. Don't know what the hell you're doing. So it's always good to read the instructions, although Greg never does, but I always do, of course, because I at least, when I'm putting something together I haven't put together, at least want to see how they say to do it. They want the battery to sit for an hour in the acid before you put it onto a battery tender. So they tell you to just basically rock it every once in a while so that the platelets share the acid. So it's now 11 o'clock, so we can't do anything with this till 12, so it's a good thing we started it before we did the putting the carbs back on. So doesn't matter. I mean, we're going to change the oil on the bike as well. I don't know if you can see me the way the camera is. because he's got it pointed at the sky, so I don't
It's
know.
on wide, they can see you.
I don't know how much you can see me, so. But anyway, we're going to change the oil on the bike today too, so if it doesn't charge by the time we're done, then we'll do the oil change. I'm going to start by just pulling out the little paper towels we threw in there. I just did that so nothing really foreign got in there while I was waiting for the carbs to be done. So that's the vent tube. It looks like that vent tube should have been up here. This guy was definitely in this bike. He was full of garbage. He didn't work on it. I don't think he knew what he was doing.
I think that's broken, isn't it?
No, it just goes up here.
Yeah, but same.
Yeah, but I mean, right now, don't stick it there. The box is back. So anyway, so that'll go back up here when the box is all back together. So it's got to. I'm gonna do the throttles before I drop it in, and then I'll drop it in. All right, so we got the carb sitting where it needs to sit. That pain in the ass to try to get these throttle cables. I wrote front and then couldn't figure out what it meant by front. That's what I meant by front, sitting in the front. When I put the throttle cables on, obviously the carb wasn't sitting where it was. So anyway, I had to line everything up to get the box back in. Now I'm going to tighten the screws for all the carb in the box, and then just get everything sat so I can figure out where I am, and then we'll go from there. So right now the carbs are back on, and now it's just playing all the, putting everything back together. So it's been an hour now, and I'm going to hook up the battery to the battery tender and let it charge up. So we took the clutch cover off, and the fluid was really bad, and it's got muck in it like dirt. I'm gonna clean it out, obviously flush out the clutch line. See what happens. Alright, so we basically changed the plugs just because the guy was running it with starter fluid, and I'll be running it way too rich. So that's the last one. The motor was dirty, so I did them out of order because I wanted to clean the dirt around the cylinder, make sure nothing kind of went into the motor. So they're all down now. Make sure as I say that, let's make sure. All down. That should be fine for the under seat.
Just like that, we have the gauge cluster.
Yep.